Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. And we're going to do that here live at Jenzabar Jam 2023 at the beautiful Gaylord Palms Resort in Orlando, Florida, with our first episode of our 3-day stint here. Also with me in person for like the fourth time ever, fifth time ever, is the one and only Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience. Elvin, what's going on?
I am super excited to be here today. I'm looking forward to listening to our first guest and guest co-host. So this should be fun. Let's get going.
We've got a real combo today, and we want to do it because we've got a lot to cover. My first co-host of this event, here he is. He's Jeff Elliott. He is the Director of Product Management at Jenzabar.
Yes, sir. Welcome.
Jeff, what's up, man?
How are you, Joe? Elvin? Very great to be here.
Excellent.
Really looking forward to our chat this morning.
Did you say, Elvin, you were...
Excellent.
Yeah, I thought you said
one.
excellent.
Nice.
Yeah, it's Joe
Well
Pesci.
done.
Right?
I like
Home Alone, Joe Pesci.
Well done.
Jeff, we're excited to talk to you. Jenzabar, this conference is, there's people everywhere right now. This is already going crazy. It's already crazy in here. A good crazy.
And it hasn't even started yet. Yes, it's a good crazy. It is organized chaos, and it is our most fun 4 days all year. So great to be here.
Well, we have a really special guest with us. She has done some pretty amazing things in higher education. We want to talk about an award, an initiative that she has been involved with and led. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen. I got to get this right. She is Dr. Janecek-Hartman, and she's the VP of Campus Services at Ueda Hidatsa Sanish College.
Good job.
Oh, very well done.
Joe, I lost $10. I didn't even get it, man. That's impressive.
I've never felt pressure like that moment in my life, getting that right. But Jen, how are you?
I am fantastic and excited to be here on your podcast representing NHSC. We shorten it up.
Yeah, we'll go there.
We'll
It's like
shorten it
SHIELD
up.
versus Strategic Homeland Initiative.
Exactly.
That helps.
We're located in north central North Dakota. We are the home of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara nations on the shores of the beautiful Reservoir Sakakawea.
Wow.
All right. Well, that was impressive.
I'm very interested to know about your student body. Is a great place for us to start. Who do you serve? What type of degrees and what do you offer in terms of education? And how do you serve them?
We are a tribal college, one of 5 located in North Dakota. We are part of the North Dakota Tribal College System. We offer associates, certificates, and bachelor degrees. We have some very interesting courses. We have a Native American Studies where we are the only place in the world where you can learn how to speak Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara languages.
Amazing.
We also have the only accredited associates in equine studies. So we have 3 tracks in that. You can do therapy, equine assisted therapy, you can do business, you can just do straight horsemanship. So we offer everything from CDL to environmental science.
Wow, that's a lot. Jeff, that's what a lot of programs to keep track
That's
of.
A to Z. That's covering the full gamut. Absolutely. Jen, that certified the language program. Is that transfer out as a foreign language? Would that?
It will in some institutions. So like we partner really closely with the North Dakota University system. So we're part of the GERDA, the General Education Transfer, which I think is crazy that our indigenous languages count as a foreign language.
That's why I was just curious. It's a different situation, but that's fantastic for your students.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about one of the most sensitive, I would say sensitive topics going in and around higher education today, and that is return on investment. Is college an investment? Does it have value? How do you measure it? And Jen, you have won an award for, what is it for? You know what it's for. You're named, you're a college scholar named ROI Institute Award winner. So you put a most innovative approach to ROI award. Wow, that's pretty incredible. How does that even come to be?
I work with Jack and Patty Phillips, who are part of the Phillips ROI model. There are multiple return on investment models out there. Kirkpatrick is another evaluation model. I met Patty during a conference when I was working on my PhD, and the idea for return on investment came to me because I was challenged by a leader during an assessment with the National Science Foundation. I have written many grants with them, founded an environmental science program at a United Tribes Technical College before I moved to NHSC. And one of the people evaluating says, we've given you X number of dollars. You've only had 2 graduates. It was in a year and a half. And my point was, numbers, fine. But how do you place a value on the first student in the family, in an extended family, to get a college degree?
Nailed it.
And so I worked with, I was interested in ROI. So I went to Jack and Patty's training and received my training on the Phillips ROI. They worked with me. She sat on my dissertation. I asked her to sit on my dissertation team.
Now that's influence right
That
there.
is.
It
That's
was so
fantastic.
cool. So, and what's crazy is it was 16 years ago. I just went to my
Were you 5 when you got your dissertation?
pretty much,
Jen?
pretty much. Yeah, it's interesting because my baby niece just turned 16 and she was an infant at my graduation. So that it's a family affair. But I really like the ROI model because it looks at intangibles. It takes everything from, we get excited about, oh, we have 3,500 people. Okay, what did those 3,500 people learn? Did it change anything they were doing? And so they allowed me to tweak their model. And the difference between my ROI framework and theirs is that at the heart of everything we do are our values. So as any institution, they have values. And so what my model does and my framework is it works with the local tribal values, because anything we do, we see through the lens of what our values are. So I'm the only one they ever allowed to do that. I'm excited.
Yeah. And I think, Jen, what's brilliant about that too, you talk about local values, right? And it's really at the heart of, or the confluence of, 2 key things that every institution is trying to figure out right now, right? Which is, how do you define success? And there's the national norm, but those don't necessarily apply, not even outside of a tribal school like yourself, even just at local, state, community college, locally and regionally, those values are different. And it's interesting that you figured this out 15 plus years ago, because that was probably the budding moment where students, the whole higher ed market changed from being a seller's market where the school said, hey, Joe, here's your curriculum, take it or leave it, to the student now kind of being the buyer's market. Hey, I'm going to scrutinize you more. And I'm going to, so it's a wonderful confluence of those 2 things. And it's what most institutions across the country are trying to figure out.
Exactly. And like I said, it went back to that critical moment when my program was in a midpoint review, and it changed the whole way, because I've always looked at individuals, because behind every single number is a human interest story. And that's what drew me to the Phillips ROI, because they take that extra step with the intangibles, the things that you don't want to put a dollar value on, but really impact the student, the institution. At our institution, our student success definition was derived by students.
Excellent.
One of the to kind of double down on this point that you guys are making, the value of a college degree in itself it's got a lot of skepticism. There's a lot of challenge. The challenge comes not necessarily, it doesn't have as much value, that it's just not valuable, that you might as well not get it, go over here and get these skills instead. And then for anybody that is really thinking about taking an alternative pathway to education through non-credentials or credential stacking or certificates, it's a very hard market to understand. I always joke, and Elvin knows, and I say it like a joke, but it's true. My cousin Vinny, since we were talking about it, my cousin Vinny offers a real estate course. I'm going to go get a credential in this. Well, who's validating it? What does it mean? Is anybody looking at it? So for people, it's very confusing. Now you take a first-gen student and you dissuade that student from going to get a college degree. What impact does that have generationally? And that's a big question. So there was, I can't remember who just wrote it, but there was a report in Hetchinger report that came out, and it was an opinion piece. And this gentleman was writing how the value of a college degree goes much deeper than dollars and cents. It goes to generational wealth, that you're positioning your family for modeling, for community impact. That's what you're talking about. That's the ROI goes way beyond the dollars and
well,
cents.
and you can even, Jen, you can even go, dare I say, emotionally deeper than that, right? It can provide self-worth. It can
Exactly.
provide the confidence you need. I mean, ultimately, value ends up being defined in hindsight, I
Yes.
think, mostly, because even as we look at CBE, competency-based ed, and all that, it's the consumer market that decides the value. Can I get the job I want with the credential I've received? But what I love about, and I am one of those cynics at times
You're not a cynic.
who likes to look at the numbers until you look behind the numbers. Right. And you really start to discover what those number means. And I love the whole idea of that value being personal, because
True.
ultimately this is a very personal journey.
It is.
You
And
know-
no one does it the same.
No.
It's some people can go high school, college, career, lockstep. Other people need to stop out, take care of family. Our population at our institution, we're very geographically rural. The nearest Walmart or Target or chain restaurant is 75 miles away.
Wow.
Yikes.
Exactly. Our population is mainly our Native American folks, and then the border towns, families that have married into the local Native American population. So for a lot of our students, they are the first gen. We have students who we are starting to get more dual credit students at our institution. And what's really cool is our faculty to student ratio is amazingly wonderful, like 1-7.
Wow.
Yeah. And I tell students in high school that if they're even thinking about going to college and they want to go away to the big schools, we have them take the speech one, English 1, English 2,
All those
your
gen
math.
eds.
Well, the gatekeeper classes,
Mhm.
because you're going to have an instructor that sees you and can work with you one-on-one and knows where you're struggling to help you out.
Jen, I want to just talk about your student body a little bit, the indigenous population, Native Americans. We've talked to many folks, representative of Native American institutions, of organizations, and there is an invisibility factor that has been brought up, that the American Indian population feels very invisible in general. Getting a college degree provides that visibility, and what you're doing is really important. Is that you seeing that amongst your institution and the students too, that this is just a pathway towards more impact, getting that college degree?
It is. I can use my husband's and my son. I'm in a blended family. Got bonus kids when I got remarried. So our son started at our institution in pre-engineering. Our son got married last September. The week before his wedding, he took his PE, professional engineer exam. He passed. So
Nailed it.
Started out
Outstanding.
tribal college. Right now my husband is sitting team for one of our students. She is going to graduate with her PhD in geology science from the University of North Dakota.
Amazing.
She was a mother, student athlete, a
Wow.
single mom.
It's fantastic.
And I mean, her path has been pretty straight. I have another student who just graduated with her bachelor's in Native American Studies, and she's helping me write our 50 years of impact. NHSC, we just turned 50 years old.
Nice.
So she's helping us write that story. And I mean, I can go on and on and on about, between my 20 years in the tribal colleges, it is the best job. And it's not even a job. It's the best life I've ever had.
And
Wow.
and like, guys, we talked about the confluence of value and success, right? To me, that starts to speak to success, because whether she ever gets a job in her field, or that's success, and it's so important for funding. Like, once you start to extrapolate how colleges get funding and everything, and the government wants to look at job placement, why is that success? Especially at NHS, you look at an institution like that, where a lot of times getting the degree is in and of itself success, right?
Exactly.
And worthy of federal funding and all of that stuff. And that's where this really gets very interesting to me, is when you start blending what is success and what is value. You get the students scrutinizing, what does this mean for me after the fact? And you get the government going, well, it better mean this. because your school can't get funding if not. That becomes a really interesting overlap of circles and what it means to the industry and these individuals.
Absolutely. Well, let's speak of an overlap of circles. I like that. You're here at Jenzabar Jam. Why are you here? What are you hoping to learn? And what's the purpose
Or
of you being
teach.
here? Yeah, or teach.
Good point.
Well, learning is all about teaching and learning. They go
Exactly.
together.
Very
don't they?
good point, Joe.
You've learned it well if you can teach it to others.
Yep.
I am here. I have been with Jenzabar. I was in my 30s when we started with Jenzabar. I spent my 40th birthday going live at United Tribes Technical College. I was blessed to be in on the ground floor when they implemented it there. So for me, it's like a homecoming week. I get to see the people that I've worked with throughout the years. In my position now as campus services, I supervise 8 different departments, one of which is IT. IT is integral to, with using Jenzabar, and we have a brand new IT department. I mentioned earlier how tricky it is to get quality folks and then get them to stay.
Yeah.
So we are here this week. We have faculty, we have our registrar, we have people from the business office, our IR team, and myself. So for me, it's to see, I kind of look at myself as the scout. What's the new stuff coming up?
Yep.
And then they focus in on their particular areas.
Right. What can you take back to serve your students better? Right. That's the idea.
Exactly.
How do you make it easier? And I know, Jeff, you're listening, right? You're listening and learning to the clients.
That's the value for me and my team. And in fact, my team of PMs is their sole purpose is to talk to users and not just figure out what does Jen need in our software, but how do we figure out your problems? How do we help you identify those problems? And then what can we do to help fix them? And, I think, Jen, I'm on the same path you are. I've been at Jenzabar for 23 years. I was 30.
Wow.
This is my 21st jam, I think.
Wow.
And it's such a great opportunity to keep coming back to familiar folks. How is what we're doing working? It's a great opportunity to meet new folks. What new problems are you bringing? Like right away, I sat down and Jen and I, whether she knows it or not yet, are going to talk an awful lot about ROI and what our software does or does not yet do to help work towards that and solve a lot of what she's trying to kind of articulate more in the correct, as opposed to this is what the norm everybody thinks is way. So, it's great to make connections. As you can see, it hasn't even started yet, and there's people all over the place hugging, shaking hands. We like to think of it as a family.
Yes.
Jen is a family member. I've spent all morning. I've had 2 client meetings already this morning,
Get
just
that coffee
catching
in.
up. Got coffee. Well, for me, it's Diet Mountain Dew, but yeah. But it is those connections. It's creating those connections. It's maintaining those connections. It's talking about where folks are at in the industry. That's how we learn.
Nice.
I can read it in an article. We meet with industry analysts all the time, but it's really sitting with folks like Jen. Because again, it's our same issue. Like I've got to get past the data and talk about the people behind it and why that's unique and all that stuff. And that's so valuable for us.
Jen, what else do you want to say about NHSC that hasn't been said? I want to give you a minute to take an open mic. Tell us all about your institution, your students, anything you want to say.
Wow. It's almost, I get almost speechless when I talk about it, but we have our college president is a community member. She was educated at what was then Fort Berthold Community College, went out to explore the world and came back home. And she leads through culture. We're a family. It's like, I know all the students. It's a small place. It's a very embracing place. We work very hard to help the students. Our students are proud of being there. We just hosted the American Indian Higher Education Consortium basketball tournament in Newtown, North Dakota. 23 teams from across the nation. We were the hosts. If you look back historically, our tribes kept Lewis and Clark alive over the winter. So we've always been very open, hosting people. And we just, we live in a beautiful, beautiful place on the edge of the Theodore Roosevelt National Parks, North and South Unit. We have just great community members, just a great place for students and faculty to hang out.
And if you guys didn't catch the sparkle when you asked her that question, right? But, I don't know if anybody else did. That's at an institution like yours, Jen, that's value right there. Just the family, just the sense of that 1-to-7 ratio and how folks like Jen and folks that work on her care about these students. And that's the stuff that gets lost, right? Everybody wants the numbers, who's getting what jobs, and then therefore you get this money, and they forget what it means in our growth development as adults, as people, right? I unfortunately remember my transition from high school to college and the people that were involved in that first year and how instrumental they were, that if I go right out and get a job, I don't grow in the same way. And I don't have the same people caring about me in that same way, where it was all about me and my problems and my trials and tribulations, right? If I go right out and work right away, it's all about them.
Yeah.
You've got to perform here a certain way. And if you can't, we'll find someone who can. Tribes, tribal schools, campuses like this, right? I say tribes, I'm thinking family, right? Like we come together in a way that you don't get anywhere else, and that gets lost. So when someone like Jen comes along and tries to redefine value, boy, that's it right there, right? That's such a big part of it. Yes, eventually you want it to turn into a job. You want it to be something, a career. Hopefully you're like Jen, where you sit here and go, well, I don't work a day. I sit with people I get to love every day. But in that moment, that would be a shame if that goes away,
Yes,
right?
it would.
If schools like NHSC and others like it don't get seen for the value they're providing, that really becomes a problem.
Well, that's a good testimonial for you and your campus
great.
right there
I
from
love
a
it.
Jenzabar
Yep.
leader. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say that this is going to be a hard episode to beat here, and this conversation has been
Set the
amazing.
bar high.
We set the bar high, of course, with our guest co-host. He's Jeff Elliott. He's Director of Product Management at Jenzabar. And one way we bring our tribes together is here at Jenzabar Jam, where we connect with one another and we talk to the most amazing people across higher education. We have one with us today. She is my guest. No, she is your guest. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen. She's Dr. Janecek-Hartman. She is the VP of Campus Services, NHSC, the New Hidatsa Sanish College. I think I got that right. One more
Went for
time.
it again.
Jen, did you have a good time here on the podcast?
I had a blast. Thank you.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, you've just EdUp'd